Hello everyone, I'm Mark Gatto and welcome to the Advisor Lab. I'm joined today by Sean Allocca. He's the executive editor of the Daily Upside. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so it's great to be at Future Proof Citywide. Beautiful day here. This event has really caught fire, right? We've been involved in the last two in Huntington Beach. I think you've been involved in all four of their events, right?
That's right. Yeah.
It's a great event for alternatives. It's a great event for advisors. It really has a vibe that I don't think others have replicated or captured. You agree?
It's hard to beat being on a beach, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of the conferences you're at the beach, but you're like seeing it through a window, and you're like, oh, it would be nice to be on the beach. And I think that was a beautiful idea of this show and what Matt put together of just, hey, let's get it out on the beach. Let's get out of the stuffy clothes.
Yes, 100%.
It's been a blast.
100%. So tell us a little about the Daily Upside.
Yeah, so the Daily Upside. So it's a finance and markets newsletter. So it's launched in 2019 from an investment banker. His name is Pat Truesdale. Just wanted to be his own boss. Was kind of working hard, so he figured he'd work for himself. And he started that in 2019. For a while, it was just him and a few freelancers. Then he started picking up speed. They've scaled it to about 1 million subscribers on the retail side. So that was really fantastic. Of that 1 million, they had about 50,000 financial advisors. So they brought me in to launch some new newsletters, new verticals. So I was previously editor-in-chief of ETF.com and also with investment news, financial planning. So I have good experience in wealth and asset management. So we launched Advisor Upside in June. We now have 75,000 advisors. So like 1 in 4 advisors are reading us, which is fantastic. Seen great engagement, and next week we're launching ETF Upside. So we're going to have some new things. We've just seen so much engagement in those two areas. I mean, wealth is such a big part of everything. You see the PE money just flooding in to this space, and the same in ETFs. The assets are just globally just shattering records month after month after month. So it's exciting. We're having fun, and we're having a blast.
And how are the advisors using these platforms? Is it for education purposes? Is it for just current events? What's sort of the main reason?
I mean, so our newsletter, we're very much newsletter first. I think a lot of the kind of the legacy players, some that I mentioned, are more online, more page view driven. We're very much just in your inbox. You can read it right there. You don't have to click out. You don't worry about clickbait and all that stuff. So we've been going out 3 times a week. So kind of more trend analysis pieces and just finding things that are interesting to advisors, anything from practice management, investment strategies, wealth tech stuff, and some of the funding rounds that we've been seeing. So just covering the industry and just having a little fun with it. We don't try and take it too seriously.
Good stuff. So private markets is a hot topic right now. It's one of the reasons why I think there's been such a demand for this type of conference, because advisors and their clients want to invest in private markets. They don't always understand what private markets are, but they do understand that there's a need to incorporate alternative investments in a well-diversified portfolio. I heard the other day you were on a panel here at Future Proof about due diligence. So let's talk a little bit about that. Talk about in terms of where do you see the need for education, or what degree is it at currently? And if advisors are interested in private markets, what should they be looking at, and how should they go about understanding what they're going to put their client in?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the number one concern for advisors right now, really top of mind for them. I mean, we've seen all the press that has been about it. There's been some recent launches of private credit ETFs and other products. So I think advisors and clients are starting to ask about it. What should I be in here? Who are these appropriate for? And then how do I get my hands on it? I mean, the markets, I think Cerulli said it's going to be something like a $2.5 trillion asset by 2028, so 3 years away.
Right around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, advisors have 1.4 trillion right now in listed liquid advisors, so that's going to double. So it's a huge opportunity, and I don't think that advisors have the education really. It's still kind of new, still lack of transparency in a lot of ways to benchmark these products aren't the same on the public side, very different obviously for obvious reasons. And I think finding that education is going to be huge for advisors, because the ones that I talk to are still very much hands-on. They're not fully embracing the idea of some of these, and especially in some of these index products that are a little bit easier to find. I think they're concerned, from what I hear, about the lack of transparency and finding out what's in these products and how they're working. And then also, frankly, I heard a couple people say if I'm more at a not the institutional level, a little bit lower, am I still getting the good deals
Sure,
and the good
sure.
access to those investments? So they're a little bit worried that maybe down as it gets to more retail and end clients, that maybe they're not having the quality of the investment. So those are a few concerns, and yeah, we talked a lot about it on the panel. We had great experts from Neuberger Berman and also from Morningstar talking about putting together some of this information and packaging up for advisors.
Right. Yeah, I think you're seeing right now, where more traditional asset managers are trying to take private market assets which are illiquid and trying to put them in a very liquid wrapper to solve the discomfort of advisors. And I don't know if that's necessarily the best way to do it, right? I think that's kind of a backwards way of doing, where we and other sponsors who have been involved in alternatives for a long time have really embraced the interval fund, which allows for some liquidity, albeit limited, but it also gives us the ability to invest long term and really give the investor the opportunity to capitalize on the premium that illiquid assets offer. And I think also one of the big obstacles for advisors to get into these private market assets is the underwriting, the due diligence. They don't have the bandwidth. And do you know about how advisors are approaching that problem?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, especially the smaller RAs, or RAs in general. I think the larger broker-dealers have investment teams and analysts, and they can much easier find the appropriate investments. I think it is for the independent advisors, especially the smaller ones. And from what we've talked about on the panel yesterday, it was Shannon Sakacha from Neuberger Berman. She said just ask the providers, ask them as many questions as you can, just as you would with on the public side. And if you're asking those PMs or whoever building these products for you, say what are the incentives? Are your incentives aligned with my clients? Ask all the same questions and probably even more. And to be honest, she said as you talk to 5 or 10 providers, you'll start to be able to benchmark it just on your own. You'll hear from them. They have the incentive to tell you because they want to want to educate you, want to make you part of their universe. So I mean, that was the main one for the advisors that don't have teams behind them. Was just get on the phone, ask away. Like any good journalist would do. You just get on the phone and ask, because there's no better way than to learn right from the people.
Yeah, there's no dumb questions, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And advisors need to do that. They need to embrace private markets because it's an asset class that really helps an investor's long-term investment goals, and they need to spend some time, understanding what they're getting involved in. And I think there's a lot of information out there for them. And like you said, ask the questions. You're going to hear common themes amongst different asset managers, and you'll start to develop your own sort of checklist and the criteria that you need to get comfortable with these investments, because there is a lot of effort around that. I know we as an organization, we are education is so critical and enabling the advisor and the investor to understand what they're investing in, and that's at the end of the day the most important thing.
And that's where it was probably with crypto a few years ago. Maybe even still today, I think advisors are still trying to find the right ways. Who is this for? Why is it worthwhile? And I think another important part that we talked about on the panel was just really finding a reason why you want to do this, and that'll kind of guide the journey for advisors through it. Like, be very prescriptive. Like, I have a client, these are his needs, this is when he wants to retire or she, and here's how these are going to fit into this asset allocation, this portfolio. So that can kind of be the start of the journey. Ask a lot of questions, compare, contrast. Ask other peers that might have some information for you, and yeah, it wasn't easy, but there's definitely ways
for sure. And do you have any views on the markets, or any of your advisors that you work with? Are there certain things that they're looking for in this type of market environment where there's a lot of policy being dictated and changed, which could affect the markets? What are you hearing from advisors?
Most of the time, most advisors are going to say stay the course, right? I mean, they're investing long term, it's buy and hold, it's not. I think most people that change portfolio strategies because of administrations, it's a hit or miss, and you have to really be highly engaged in trading, at least quarterly if you're going to be trying to do those strategies, which most advisors probably aren't. Right. But I have heard some people getting a little bit more defensive in terms of their 60-40s, going more towards 50-50 or even 40-60 over the next decade. Just globally, I think there's going to be a slowdown, or it's projected that there will be a slowdown in terms of GDP globally. So some advisors are starting to just pull back, maybe get a little bit more into fixed income, find some more income providing strategies. But yeah, for the most part, advisors are always going to say, just go like this for a decade.
Yeah, I think that's one of the well-tested approaches, right? Don't touch it. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And we sort of subscribe to that too. As an alternative investment manager, we think a well-diversified portfolio that has an appropriate allocation to alts can really weather the storm in volatile markets and provide for that long-term growth that you're looking for in a portfolio. So we think that's the right approach, and we are really looking forward to the rest of the time here at Future Proof. I want to thank you for joining us today, and everyone check out the Daily Upside, please.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Mark.
it, man.
All right, take care.
This video is for informational purposes only and should not be considered or relied upon as investment advice. It may not be copied, quoted, or referenced without Cyan Investment's prior written consent. Do not rely upon any opinions, predictions, or forward-looking statements contained herein. The views expressed do not constitute an offer to sell or a solicitation to purchase securities, nor do they constitute the endorsement of a particular asset class or investment strategy. Neither Cyan Investments nor its affiliates and/or subsidiaries warrant its completeness or accuracy. Certain information contained in this video may constitute forward-looking statements that may be inherently unreliable, and actual events or results may differ materially from those reflected or contemplated herein. Cyan Investments expressly disclaims any obligation or undertaking to update or revise any information included herein. The views expressed by the guests or participants are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Cyan Investments, LLC, or any of its subsidiaries, officers, or staff. Please be aware of the real risk of loss in following any investment strategy. No investment strategy or asset class referenced herein is intended to be construed as investment advice. You should make an independent, informed decision regarding any investments or strategies only after reviewing all relevant offering or disclosure documentation with your financial professional, and after considering your objectives, risk tolerance, and best interest before making any investment in any financial product. Registered personnel should review any business development initiatives addressed herein with their respective compliance and legal departments. Coverage of such topics should not be construed as compliance or legal advice. It is at the discretion of each respective firm if such practices are consistent with firm policies and procedures.